It's been a long time since we brought out the keys. Caboose, thank you for the 29 months. Welcome back. I've been working on this not very intensely, but I started whenever Enigma Jewel got printed, I guess in Lost Caverns of Ixalan. I like slid them into 8 key and I was like, okay, I'll figure this out later. And I was really stuck on it for a while. Like just the build, and then also like evaluating how good Enigma Jewel is. And after finally, having some time and focusing more on it, I've determined Enigma Jewel is a very good card in this archetype. And I think that in order to play it, you just kind of cut the Ancient Stirrings from the non-Tron build, and at that point it got kind of clear. But what is awesome about Enigma Jewel in this deck is that not only is it a pretty good mana engine where usually in order to like use the mana twice, you're gonna sink the mana into 2 keys and or surge nodes, but you're a deck that's built around getting as many keys into play as possible, and so you're able to use the 2 mana from Enigma Jewel really well in this deck, which is something I wasn't sure was going to be the case, but it ended up feeling like a tapped Soul Ring a lot of the time, which is something that you really want Enigma Jewel to be as a tapped Soul Ring for 1 mana. But also, Enigma Jewel is also a payoff, which is something that is like it is a much better payoff than I expected it to be too. There's an infinite mana combo with Enigma Jewel. If you have one thing that's funny is Voltaic Key is now better than the Manifold Key because of Enigma Jewel. There are 2 differences on the keys. Manifold Key cannot untap itself. Voltaic Key can target itself, and the Manifold Key can make target creature unable to be blocked. You would think that this one is strictly better because it makes Saga tokens unblockable, but now, if you have a flipped Enigma Jewel, and then you have a mana battery in Everflowing Chalice or Astral Cornucopia that has 3 or more counters on it, when you activate your Voltaic Key, the ability gets copied. Actually, you only need 2 counters on it. The ability gets copied, so you can untap the Voltaic Key, and then you can untap the mana battery. So this is going to give you 2 mana, then you spend 1 mana to untap both over and over and over again, making infinite mana. Doubling up ring abilities is really crazy. Like, you're really wanting to, like, and like if your ring gets countered, the ability to like imprint it off Enigma Jewel, then copy the ring is just feels like game over so often. You can also imprint Karn and then like +1, copy the +1, and the next turn -2, copy the -2 and get 2 things, which is pretty nice. The jewel is just like it's a mana rock, and it's a payoff, which is just like super exciting. I forgot for a little while when I was playtesting the deck that you need the expedition map, because a lot of times what you do is you keep a hand with like Urza Saga, Power Conduit. You do the Urza Saga Power Conduit thing. If you're not familiar, you can use this card to remove Chapter 3's counter, tutor something with Urza Saga, and keep your Saga in play. So you really need, you kind of have to keep that hand every time, and you also need a payoff when you keep that hand, and so the payoff for that is Expedition Map for Inventors Fair, and then using the millions of mana that you've generated to grab a Mystic Forge or a One Ring. Or I guess, theoretically, an Enigma Jewel. I have been liking the deck, not only because of its like small, or I don't know how small the power level upgrade of Jewel is yet, I guess, but not only because of the upgrade of Enigma Jewel, but also because one of the main artifact hate cards that people are playing at the moment is Pick Your Poison. There's a lot of Pick Your Poisons, and this deck is very resilient to that card. It is much better at fighting Pick Your Poison than it is Force of Vigor. Imagine Basalt Monolith Elimination. Yeah, that would change a lot. How fast do we gold with Goldfish with Jewel turn 1? You have a lot of turn 3 kills in this deck. I don't think that it's possible to kill on turn 2. Usually you have to take turns 1 and 2 to set up. I don't think it's a turn 2 kill is possible. Is Zerda worth it? You cannot play Zerda because of Urza Saga. We are 4 Urza Sagas away from Zerda. We are 4 Coretapers away from Kahira. We are 4 Astral Cornucopias away from Gigantha. And we are 4 Karn the Great Craters away from Umori. We are very close to getting a companion, 4 different companions, but we cannot actually play any of them. Okay, also, you kind of need to mulligan to a hand with a mana battery Saga to find an Everflowing Chalice. So we have to mulligan this hand. We're going to keep this one. Certainly. Going to put back the second Astral Cornucopia. This is kind of an example of a hand I was talking about where you just have all the mana in the world, but you need the you need the payoff. So you have that payoff off the Urza Saga. I think that I'll probably lead on the Astral Cornucopia on turn 1 here to play around Grief Scam. It's like really bad if they take both my mana batteries. And also, a good tip for playing this deck, if you have Urza Saga in your opening hand, you will almost always want to play it turn 1. There may be some exceptions if you just feel like for some reason this is a game where you really need to make the constructs, but you're basically always leading on them turn 1. Yeah. Also, all the cards that make us unable to companion are super uncuttable. That's true. Okay. It's a good draw. Deck is very complicated to play. Do my best to articulate the lines here. So we're playing Tendo Ice Bridge because it is a land that enters with a counter on it that also fixes mana for Enigma Jewel. So you can do this. You can remove the counter from Tendo Ice Bridge, put the counter on Astral Cornucopia. Now our Astral Cornucopia taps for a mana of any color. We're going to use that mana to cast a Voltaic Key. Would I play the new spoiled land in this deck? So this is the thing about this archetype, right? Is that you just have like millions of colorless utility lands you could play. This one does seem really good though. There's a good chance that this one actually makes the cut. But it's also like we're also splashing a colored 1-drop, so don't just have all the luxury in the world. So we could certainly win next turn if we draw Karn, the One Ring, Mystic Forge. If we don't draw any of those cards, we can try to Expedition Map for Inventors Fair to like set up. That being said, my opponent will get to untap with Tron more than less likely. And if that's the case, if they have a Karn, the Great Creator, we're going to lose, and we kind of beat everything else for a turn. So, we don't have our Karn. Maybe they don't have their Karn. And maybe we'll top deck our card. So we just top deck a basic island. So we're always going to go Power Conduit, remove this counter from Urza's chapter from Urza Saga, get an artifact here. Now, if I got Inventors Fair, if I got Expedition Map for Inventors Fair, I don't actually have enough mana to like actually sacrifice it this turn. Pretty sure I'm just going to. We're also very close to infinite mana off of the Enigma Jewel. I don't have enough mana to like. I never have enough to like get Expedition Map, play, and flip Jewel. Yeah, I'm not even like very close. Yeah, so I think I'm just gonna grab Surge Node this turn. Keep leveling up this Astral Cornucopia a little bit, and then it would be nice to be able to make a Saga token so that if my opponent has a card, I'm not just completely cooked. So I'm also definitely going to play the Enigma Jewel. So let's go untap here. So I'm always playing this Enigma Jewel. So I'm just going to Everflowing Chalice on 2 and hold up the ability to make a Saga token. First time seeing this deck. Yeah, this is like an old brew of ours we've played a bunch of. And we had like several trophies with this deck on stream. It's a deck that I really, really enjoy. And it's always nice to like make it upgrade and find like a metagame where it's a bit better positioned. So yeah, we're going to win next turn, which is nice to be able to do despite not actually drawing a payoff. But we'll be able to make infinite mana with our Enigma Jewel, and then we'll also be able to draw infinite cards with the One Ring that we find off Inventors Fair. If they go like Karn Explosives on 0, we're cooked. Not sure that they're playing Engineered Explosives. We also like really do have to like dodge. Like if they don't have Karn, sorry, if they just don't have Karn, we should be winning. Enigma Jewel is now an old card. Yeah. I mean, I've been trying to figure out if Jewel is optimal in this deck for a long time, and then after like actually getting to spend a little bit more, or I could have spent more time with it earlier, but after spending some time with it earlier this week, I didn't like it that much. Or sorry, I did like it a lot. Too excited. Tron can run explosives. I know like Karn explosives as a tutor target for Karn was like not uncommon, or Ratchet Bomb back when Rhinos was a thing. I don't know if that is still something they would play. Explain infinite mana. So we are going to flip the Enigma Jewel into Locus of Enlightenment. Locus of Enlightenment has a static ability. Whenever you activate an ability that isn't a mana ability, copy it. You can choose 2 new targets for the copy. With Voltaic Key, this is not a mana ability. When we activate it, we get to untap 2 things: untap itself, and then also untap a mana battery to make mana. And so this is going to untap itself. It's going to untap the mana battery, generating an extra X amount of mana, X minus 1, where X is the number of charge counters in Astral Cornucopia, every single time you do it. That'll give us infinite mana, which will let us sacrifice Inventors Fair for the One Ring. And then when we make infinite mana, we can also use Voltaic Key to untap the One Ring infinite times, draw infinite cards, infinite mana, card the Great Creator, win with Aetherflux Reservoir on my opponent's upkeep. Ooh, do they have Boseiju? Boseiju would be... I think we could still combo through Boseiju. Main deck Haywire Might. What is going on? What is going on in this modern format? I guess if they target the Enigma Jewel, but they're just like always targeting Cornucopia, right? Unless they're listening to me describe the Enigma Jewel combo here. Because they could target... Yeah, they target the Saga. I guess that also does it. Okay, so we do have infinite mana. We no longer have our Urza Saga. Brutal main deck Haywire Might. We have a lot of top decks that get the job done, including having infinite mana here. Okay, we just drew the One Ring. Let's fucking go. So let's start off with charge counter on the Cornucopia. Charge counter on the Cornucopia. And then let's... with the Voltaic Key activation still available, blue, 2. Oh, wait, we do have to... Sorry, we do have to craft with 4 more. But that should be fine, right? We could just craft with 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, I can't do... 1, 2, 3. Okay. Sorry. We're one short of the having the things to craft with. Don't need the Chalice anymore. Well, I need the Astral Cornucopia, so I can get rid of these 3 pretty easily, but I need 1 more. You have to craft with 4. So I think I actually just have to cast the ring here. If they had Boseiju instead of Haywire Might for the Saga would be in the yard. Although I guess Saga doesn't have any activated abilities, huh? It's kind of funny. Okay, so let's untap the ring. Now it's going to be hard to flip the jewel this turn. The Everflowing Chalice? Again, I was counting and exiling the Everflowing Chalice. We still needed 1 more thing. Yeah, so we're going to have to go off next turn. Did get disrupted by the Haywire Might. These are not charged bird encounters. I have to double check. So now we are like soft to land plus O-Stone, unfortunately. Dang, so tough. So close. What happens if you craft the ring? Does it gain the abilities? Yeah, but we didn't have enough mana to go cast ring and then craft, I believe. And then also have the Voltaic Key untapped to start the loop. But the Enigma Jewel would have gained the abilities. But you could also only use... If you give the Enigma Jewel the ring's abilities, you can only use the stuff you craft with it 1 time. Okay, so I like them leading on Chromatic Star. This actually means if they sack the star, they can't Oblivion Stone me. Can you not craft the key under the jewel? No, yeah, you can't. You cannot craft itself. Craft is other permanents you control. Could you have untapped the jewel, then put key under the jewel? Put the key underneath the jewel. Well, the problem is we could have only activated the key 1 time there, but maybe that would have been okay. So like craft, put the key under the jewel, then we can make like 5 more mana, and then we can... I don't know. I think you're also fizzling there pretty often. So they do find a Karn the Great Creator. We have a Tin in play. Let me let's see. So they're gonna have okay, they're playing 6. Just gonna maybe activate this Power Conduit. Yeah, and so let's... I think I just want to make a bigger second battery in case they... just like Haywire Might this. I do think they're going to Haywire Might, But what's nice is they can't Haywire Might, sack Haywire Might, and block with the Might. Although the Baby are just going to jump block with the Might this turn. Which I won't really be able to beat. I don't understand how the Jewel works. If you craft with all 4 artifacts, you tap it. Does it proc all 4 abilities at once? No, you can only activate one of the abilities at a time. So like, you're going to tap to activate a specific ability. So okay, are they going to target something with the Haywire Might here? That's what we want them to do. Yeah, then they wisely choose not to. Which I think we maybe could just concede to. Kind of rough to play against the Karn the Great Critter deck round 1, maybe. We could draw Otawara. I don't have enough mana to even channel it. Gonna get wrecked. Karn, good against us. So close to comboing the turn before it came down. Welding Jars are usually like your anti-disenchant stuff, and it does stop Beseiju, but it doesn't stop Haywire Might, and I think we also just kind of need to be focused on casting Karn on turn 3. Or killing on turn 3. I think we could have gone for it and hoped to draw a key, which at that point we win. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. I mean, we also had like some series of draws off the ring that like get us there too, but yeah, maybe that was better. No, I'm just gonna leave Stonebrain as a maybe Stonebrain is actually okay to board in. Because I guess you're not gonna tutor it with Karn that often. Yeah, maybe you should have brought it then. It's a good suggestion. Okay, no way to charge up the mana battery. He's got a mulligan. Good hand. Turn 3 Karn on the play against Tron is definitely where you want to be. How did Farseeker Gari go? Not very well. It was going better off stream. I don't know. Didn't seem like it's like particularly better than like a bunch of the other. Oh, no, dude. Okay, so we have a way around this. And our way around this is to put counters on it with our own Power Conduit and Coretapper. Which is kind of funny. And actually, Chalice 1 is pretty good against them. Yeah, we can also Karn Plus. Oh, you know what? I guess I should probably do this now so that they can't cast any 1-drops. Because they just have so many 1s. We have a lot of 1s also, but we can, add another counter at some point. So I think I'm getting a key. I could also get a mana battery, or I'm sorry, a surge node. Blitz? I think we just want a key. And then we go Cornucopia. Key, untap the Power Conduit. Charge counter on the Cornucopia. Play a Coretapper. Assuming you couldn't respond to them casting 1 by added counter. Yeah, the trigger goes on the stack when the spell is cast, so we have to do it before they had a chance. O-Stone? Okay, we have a card next turn. I think we're like... it looks like we're going to have enough mana to pretty easily combo off next turn. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't played the deck, last night, but... I don't feel like I'm necessarily as proficient with it as I used to be. It's such a difficult deck. The Enigma Jewel has also, like, certainly overcomplicated everything. That being said, it looks like we have... So this is... Yeah, I think just easily enough to go Karn for Paradox Engine, and then cast the ring. Okay, they just concede, though. So on the draw, we're going to bring in a Gemstone Caverns. I think I'm going to cut a Gardens. I like the idea of bringing in the Stone Rain. I'm not sure what. Can we maybe cut another land? Kind of weird. You like the idea of going turn 1 Enigma Jewel, turn 2 Stonebrain Crack, get them off Tron, or maybe get Karn. Not going to happen that often, obviously. This hand's definitely a good keep. Going to put back the Ice Bridge. Kind of nice to have maybe Otawara to bounce a Karn. Play draw seems pretty important. Yeah, thankfully we've got good old Gemstone Caverns to help a little bit. They did lose the die roll in round 1, right? Or game 1? Maybe we didn't. Yeah, we did. Dice Tron. So we've played Tron builds of the 8-key deck in the past. There's pros and cons. One thing I don't like about the Tron build is that your power conduits are much worse, and you're also if you have Urza Saga, you always want to play Saga turn 1, and there's like just some like tension between like Saga and getting Tron online. Not the biggest ever, and also you can't really splash a color, and Enigma Jewel is really good. That being said, with the new JT, there's a pretty good chance you want to be a Tron build of this deck. Although also like flipped Enigma Jewel is kind of maybe good with the new JT. Not sure. Opponent is deep in the tank on their mulligan decision here. I'd love to see what their hand is. Can we call this deck Mystic Enigmatic Riddle? I don't know. I really like deck names to be descriptive, and I like the idea of someone like reading a deck name and going, I have a pretty good idea of what that is. My preferred pimping method, old borders foils. My preferred way to have fancy Magic decks is to buy Esther, something nice, instead of buying expensive Magic cards. Small JT goes in this deck? Maybe, yeah. So small JT gets charge counters, and so you can charge up your JT with Surge Node, Power Conduit, and Coretapper. And what's very cool about the JT is it's a mana battery that doesn't need to tap. They keep their hand. It's a mana battery that doesn't need to tap to make a mana. Which does matter a lot, because a lot of times you're able to put counters on stuff when you're like going off, but your mana batteries are tapped. So like one copy as a Saga target seems like pretty good. And then also if you're playing a Tron build, then all of a sudden you can get extra mana, which is certainly appealing too. Okay, so we're just going to go kicker 1 into cast the Surge Node. So turn 1, going to cast a Karn the Great Creator on turn 2 probably. You don't own paper cards. I own paper cards, but I don't like to buy expensive. I have a pretty big Modern collection, some Pioneer stuff. But I don't like to buy like expensive versions of cards. You know, I just prefer to spend my money on other things. Much Power 9. I own 0 Power 9 cards, and I think I will likely never own any Power 9. I used to have a bunch of like Legacy dual lands back in like 2015, 2016. I played a lot of Legacy in that era. I probably had 16 duels. I had to sell them all though. Do you care about art for paper cards? Sometimes, yeah. Like if there's a version of a card I like that's just like a little bit more expensive, then yeah, maybe I'll get it. Oh, we get Pick Your Poisoned. What's funny is we could still cast Karn the Great Creator through Pick Your Poison on Artifact. Kind of hard to play around in this spot. Hey Jarvis. What is the fanciest card I own? The fanciest card I owned was the Pro Tour Gandalf, but I actually sold it last week, 2 weeks ago. Something. Okay, so we only have 3 mana this turn no matter what we do. So I guess we're hoping that my opponent doesn't have Urza's Power Plant in their hand. I don't know what the fanciest card I own anymore is. Just a bunch of like normal modern stuff, really. Dude, how did they sandbag, or how did they tank this long about their keep? Maybe they just got there, I don't know. Maybe they were just bluffing. Brutal. What's also kind of brutal is if we just didn't lead on Saga and played around Pick Your Poison, which I think is kind of hard to do in this deck. We likely would have won just with the turn 2 Karn. Well, Karn the Great Creator castable next turn, I guess. Like, a good chance is a little too slow. They got Tron and 5 cards in their hand. Is the Pick Your Poison format better for dice than Force of Vigor? Yes, of course. It's much, much better. Dude, I cannot believe this hand that they have. Turn 2, Pick Your Poison. Turn 3, Tron Explosives. Turn 4, Karn. On the play. And then they took so long on their mulligan decision. I guess they got there. They probably had like just 1 Tron piece or something plus map. We'll see. It's not that. I mean, it will make a lot of mana on turn 3, but we have no payoff, and we have just mana. We can't use Saga to get a payoff. My opponent's on a mulligan to 6. We definitely have better 6s. This is like pretty borderline. Let's go ahead and click the mulligan button. This hand's a lot better, I think. So I'm going to bottom the expedition map, and then we are going to go Gemstone Caverns. Yeah, I guess we just put back we imprint the Power Conduit to Gemstone Caverns so that we can go turn 1, Everflowing Chalice, Coretapper, and even if they kill my Coretapper, I can cast Mystic Forge on turn 2. My opponent's on a mulligan to 5. No, we are not, dude. We're not playing back-to-back Tron opponents on our first day back playing Dice Factory. Back-to-back Tron opponents. And lose the die roll both times. So I can sack the Coretapper, then cast an Everflowing Chalice on 1 and have 1 and 2. But I think it's just better to like tap the Coretapper and then have a Chalice on 3 with the ability to like maybe like multi-kick this. So they find the power plant off their stirrings, and that's what they play. And then they play a star. They draw another Everflowing Chalice. Opponent's still reading. I think I'm casting Mystic Forge. Okay, don't hate seeing that on top. Be a little slow here. I don't know. This was our the turn 2 Mystic Forge is a little slow, I guess, on the draw against Tron. Gonna need to find some keys to win next turn. You ever play Throne of Geth? I don't think I've ever. You just don't have enough artifacts to sack to like really want to play Throne of Geth, but it's a card I've thought about a little bit. No, this build is not a Semblance Anvil deck. The Semblance Anvil Tron deck is different. And we've bricked a little bit here. Our opponent got a Karn. So if they don't have a Karn, we win next turn. Okay. Last time this happened, kind of the same thing. They cast a ring. I was feeling great, and then they had main deck Haywire Might, which was so weird. They're dismembering my Coretapper. It's okay. Coretapper has this nice activated ability. They do have 4 mana left. No Karn. And we have a Karn. Isn't that nice? So let's Surge Node our Everflowing Chalice. Usually you want to do this before you tap it. And then we should just be able to really easy peasy grab Paradox Engine and win the game here. If you want an easy time with this deck, grab a Paradox Engine. I typically just like I only tap like my biggest mana battery when I have Paradox Engine in play. It's just like not really necessary to do anything more. Although I do sometimes like to keep growing it like this. Sorry, we should have tapped our Mystic Forge in response to the trigger there. So now we have to sack this. Grab the 1 ring or Enigma Jewel. Just grab the ring. Find a ring on top. I haven't found a key yet. Tap everything, tap the ring. And then we'll go Karn for Aetherflux Reservoir. Which can't kill them now because of the ring protection, but can kill them on their upkeep, of course. Boy, do I love Aetherflux Reservoir. Let's just go ahead and blast them in their upkeep. There's not really any reason to play. Feel like we need to have 2 blast activations up. Saheeli Sublime Artifice in this kind of shell. I don't know, the card is like 3 mana dice to the creature's attacking it pretty hard. Not super excited about registering it. It's also double blue, which is not super easy if you don't have Astral Cornucopia. Yeah, Tron twice in a row. We won a game though. I mean, I'll take 1-1 against Tron. The matchup is like it's really polarized. You know, if you win the die roll, you can just kill them on turn 3 on the play a lot of the time. If they just don't have Karn like this game, you usually win. Sideboard games get worse when they board in a bunch of disenchants and stuff. Although I think it's now a little bit better if they are on, the pick your poisons. Definitely have to keep this. I'm gonna put back the island, or imprint the island to the Gemstone Caverns. Getting to play 3 caverns, I have 2 main, 1 side, but getting to play 3 caverns is super, super duper nice. Nice, also. Trying to think if makes a huge difference. Not really. We can get an Everflowing Chalice off of our Urza Saga. I can also put a counter on the Power Conduit to play around. Karn a bit better. Gemstone Caverns also having a counter on it for Power Conduit is a big nice thing in this deck. You're rooting for opponent, just go Tron land, Oblivion Stone here. That also works. So I'm pretty sure that I'm going to let my first Saga die so that I can get extra mana here. Although they have Dismember. Well, not ideal. So I draw Astral Cornucopia for turn. It's also interesting. I'm still going to let this Saga die. I could do the Saga Loop, which is the other one. I'm definitely going to get sorry, I have this now. Do I get Surge Node? Could get Surge Node. So I can go Karn Needle if I untap the Cornucopia. I can also untap the Power Conduit. And then just play Karn. Yeah, I don't think I want to Needle an opposing Karn the Great Creator here. So I think we'll just get extra counter on the Cornucopia. Leaving this so I could play an Enigma Jewel. I guess I have Enigma Jewel off this. Maybe I should have peeled the counter off that. Yeah, I guess we could have stored the charge counters. That would have been a little bit relevant. So it's not likely to matter that much. So they do have their own Karn. Could have gone Karn and Castillo if we untap the Cornucopia. Yeah, I said that out loud when I was thinking about my lines, but what do you name with Needle? I couldn't figure out anything, so I decided to put an extra charge counter on the Cornucopia. How do you beat a Karn? I mean, I'm going to try to attack it with Power Conduit, and then it's not going to be good enough, I guess. Karn's tough. You mostly have to race it or dodge it. It's like you're an artifact-based combo deck, brother, you know. They grab a Haywire Might. Yeah, let's go to game 3. Was it a more mana to untap? Yeah, it was more mana to untap Cornucopia with Key, but we didn't have anything I wanted to do the mana on. I didn't want to name Karn with Needle because I just still can't beat Karn. You know, tap to cast Needle? Yeah, I was saying that, but then I decided there was nothing I wanted to name with the Needle, and so I decided to just get the extra counter on the Cornucopia for next turn. Well, I could see that I couldn't activate. Mostly because I could never ever win this game. I'm gonna attack the Karn for 2. They're going to block or not block. If they block, they win with like almost with Cityscape level, or they get off Karn. Their hand has to be like even if their hand is completely blanks, we're completely dead. I guess I'm gonna play around Chalice on 0, which our last Tron opponent did against us. Not that I'm super duper cold to it. Artifact creatures worth running a sideboard to deal with the situation. The problem is like if you don't, so the best way to beat the opposing Karns is to have Tron mana, so you can like Cityscape level or Karn. It's like the problem is like Karn turns off your mana, so you can't cast anything big. So again, you're mostly trying to dodge and race it. I think it's just like it's fine that you're super weak to this like very specific thing. So I can cast Karn and then also Enigma Jewel here. I guess I could have played the Inventors Fair, so maybe a little misstep. We could get a coating. Although if they play Karn, would I have preferred to have already gotten like a ring to like plus on next turn? I guess Mystic Forge would be better to plus on. Because it has a bit more utility underneath the Karn. Now they haven't tutored a Tron land, so they have to have natural Tron here also for me to even like get so got. Okay, they do have natural Tron. Do they have Karn? Oh, just fucking Warm Coil Engine. Let's go, dude. So we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana this turn. We don't have anything to. We can't go Enigma Jewel into Paradox or Paradox Engine into a spell here, unfortunately. I also have maybe the wrong key in the sideboard. I was kind of not sure which one we're supposed to have. Tough turn. I think I'm just gonna cast the Mystic Forge. Okay, this gives me a little bit of extra mana. Get to untap the Everflowing Chalice. Guess maybe I should have done this first. Yeah, pretty sure I should counter on the Everflowing Chalice here, removing this. Okay, so now I get to go untap my Everflowing Chalice, tutor Paradox Engine, cast Paradox Engine, and then I get to untap everything with the Cornucopia, which should be a nearly it like 99.999% to win the game. Like I basically think it's impossible to break. You have to have maybe like 5 or 6 lands on top. I guess it's not 99.9. Could also make infinite mana with Enigma Jewel. Don't really need to, I think, waste that many clicks. Just gonna kill him kind of normally. Guess I can also just grow this battery so I don't have to click it as much. Okay, opponent, you are dead. Pay 50 life. Deal 50 damage to any target. I'll take 1-1 against Karn decks first thing in the morning. Is Blessed Needle with Aetherflux on the board? Yeah, there are some situations where you want it. To sometimes like kill hate creatures. you don't want to play against Karn the Great Creator decks. I'll definitely take 1-1 against Tron here. Let's go to 5. Okay, so we're gonna keep Urza Saga, Coretapper, One Ring, Tendo Ice Bridge, put back second Ice Bridge. Enigma Jewel, or do I want to keep the Jewel? I think we keep the key over the Jewel. Turn 1, Scalding Tarn. Oh, sorry. Meant to lead on the Saga. Situations where you had to kill with one condition and not the other. Yeah, I mean, it just like I've had opponents who like are just at like 5 life or something, and I could just ballista them. Although usually you could, I don't know, it's not gonna be that common. So it looks like we're up against creativity here. My opponent has a Leyline Binding or Prismatic Ending. Likely cooked to this game. Sometimes you can beat those cards, sometimes you can't. This feels like one of those can't games. Excited to get by the Cinnamon board. Yeah, we could maybe bring in some Welding Jars. Probably have a lot of exile-based removal. Teferi is also less than ideal. Hopefully they just cast a Fable. Yes, it's a Teferi. Not the end of the world. So we get 2 counters on the Cornucopia end of turn. I'm gonna pass so that I can discard. I can just do this at instant speed, and also so that I could maybe discard Everflowing Chalice to the Archon. I mean, I guess that they're just not gonna cast it, so that if they have Archon, I can do that. Put against this deck, play this deck a lot, and Force of Vigor's Nightmare. I think about putting Surge of Salvation in and accept to lose against counter deck. I mean, I think Welding Jar is a lot better. It's just like actually a castable card that you don't have to hold up mana for. But like one nice thing is that there's a lot more pick your poisons, I think, than there are Force of Vigors at the moment, which is a pretty big deal. Would Mox will be the format be broken? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, no disdain. I think it would be. It's just I think as long as Urza Saga exists, like Mox Opal is like a really unsafe card. We can cast this again through Reprieve. We can pay for Spell Pierce. Is giving a buff to Affinity Scales and Hammer too much? I don't know. It's just Mox Opal's a really broken card. It like I think that Modern in general got better when they banned Simian Spirit Guided Mox Opal. I think that like these cards are just a little too efficient. About Chrome Mox? I don't know. I haven't played a lot with the card Chrome Mox, to be honest, outside of Legacy, and it's still not that much. It's also tutorable off Saga, which is interesting. But I don't know. I just generally think let's probably not have these cards. I think I would really like Seething Song. I think Seething Song would be a good like unban. I think it would be pretty dang safe. Opponent's thinking a lot here. Is there a ban announcement soon? I don't think so. I would also, I don't know. Modern seems amazing at the moment. I would certainly doubt that they would ban anything. I also kind of doubt they would unban anything. Dude, opponent is in the tank. That's what I guess that's what happens when you play decks like this. Yeah, when did I cast this ring? I cast this ring at 10:01. It's now 10:03. They lost connection. I guess that makes sense. Yeah, I am in the creator program. None of the perks have been like doled out or anything. Need a Molly Abandoned Pioneer so far might can be fun again. Oh. Maybe. I also feel like the Rakdos vampire deck is really, really efficient and good. I like for more Evolved, the new Mythic Land just spoiled. I like the card. I think it's cool. It's like niche utility land. Okay, protection from everything. Tap the ring. Untap the ring. It's likely good to split your mana batteries here. Play around a removal spell on one of them. Transfigure. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is not super common for them to play a copy of this card, but not the worst. Not the not something you never see. So my opponent does not minus on the Coretapper. They decided they need another land, or maybe they're going for a Rimblem. My opponent could creativity X equals 2 on my turn. It's not likely to gonna do anything. Seems like that's not what they're gonna go for. They're gonna prismatic ending my ring. Okay. I'm fine with this. I guess now I don't need to split my mana batteries. Should have a dub here. I guess maybe I need to draw any spell. Looks like a pretty straightforward Paradox Engine turn. Very hard to brick here. Since I have the keys to untap my Mystic Forge, and the Paradox Engine obviously to also untap my Mystic Forge. Now I've got also the ring to manipulate my library. Alright, and they pick it in. So up a game against creativity. I'm going to bring in a Gemstone Caverns. I'm going to cut a Gardens. And I think they have too much exile removal for me to bring in these Welding Jars. Don't hate just boarding in the brain again. Paradox Engine is massive card. I think goes in this Jewel Signet deck. Maybe. I actually kind of returned to this list because I was like thinking about playing the Signet Jewel deck with Restore Balance, and I was having a pretty hard time getting a 75 together for that. I do like the Signet Jewel engine. I think it's probably better in like the Tron shell. You could maybe return to like the mono blue Signet Jewel Tron deck or Enigmatronic, whatever I called it, and then like maybe this deck should have a Paradox Engine in the sideboard. It probably should. You just go infinite with the Signets plus the ring. This deck was really, really sick. This was like such a fun deck to play. Felt like an all-timer. Get to play Zerda too. It's a pretty good Zerda deck. Paradox Engine with Border Post? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Paradox Engine, it's 5 mana, so like, it's very rare for me to be like, I'm gonna just put Paradox Engine in my deck as a 5-drop. I usually only do that if I have the Tron lands in the deck. Um, Almost always, I think if you have Tron, you can put Paradox Engine in the deck as a card, and I think if you don't have access to Tron, you should just have it as a Karn target. I remember trying to build Keenan Border Post for a little bit. We're gonna revisit the Sunken Citadel Filterland package. I don't know. I kind of don't. I don't think there's a better shell for it than Reclamation, and I don't think that deck is amazing, but it is pretty sweet when it does its thing. If Enigma Jewel worked with the filter lands, it would be a pretty big deal. Don't need to worry about Chalice. Cascade Bluff, Sunken Citadel, Boil seems good versus all the Leyline of Guild Pact. Well, the problem is you need 2 filter lands for Sunken Citadel to be a thing, which is somewhat doable, but isn't something you can always have. So we're pretty close to infinite mana. If I don't draw a payoff, okay, we're not pretty close, but we're gonna get it soon. And I was thinking if I didn't draw a payoff, I would likely get an expedition map. I did draw a payoff, and they don't have any blue mana, so let's get some mana here. I think we'll just get second Surge Node since I have a key, play Cornucopia, tap Enigma Jewel, activate abilities. This is the ability I might like to activate. So I have 5 mana here. I think I'm just gonna 1/1 the Everflowing Chalice and then cast the ring, and then if they have reprieve, that's okay. Okay, so assuming they can't remove my ring or my Enigma Jewel here, we should have infinite. Looks like imprint 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I still maybe imprinting 1 short. What is this? Brotherhood End. Yikers. We can rebuild potentially. I was hoping for a key to just draw 3 more this turn. So they've drawn runner lands here. Beating that would be pretty cool. I don't like it that it seems like they're going tank, put an Archon of Cruelty into play. This is like, okay, they're not doing that. That's good. Save me the 1 ring. Definitely grabbing a Saga here. Go down to 17. Draw Mystic Forge. They got Spell Pierce up. Okay, so I think we're just gonna go cast Key, cast Jewel. Maybe they'll Spell Pierce this. Which I think I prefer for them to Spell Pierce this than the Jewel. Even get to gain a life of our Saga next turn. Okay, we're rebuilding after getting like, dude, Graveyard's Terastodon? What a brutal gauntlet to play against 2 Tron decks, 2 Karn the Great Creator decks into Brotherhood and Terastodon creativity. Hopefully they don't have another Terastodon to creativity into right now. Dude, so rude. Terastodon stock? I guess I'm out of the loop, huh? I haven't seen a Terastodon, but maybe I haven't been playing the decks Terastodon comes in against. Brutal. Winning this game would be awesome, though. Yeah, also, I don't know what they're targeting here. They should stack it, they are stacking it correctly to where the Archon makes me sack one of the tokens. Trust on X2, maybe Norn or on a third. I've been getting Norned a lot lately. Surge doesn't good card in deck always. Brother, you can't cast that card. Get out of here. It is not castable. Guess this makes sense. It's like I'm doing down to 7. Kind of need to find another ring, I guess. Otawara the Archon could be our line this turn. Don't really see another line. Let's also play out 2 batteries so we can gain a life off the fair, I guess. Still dead to a bolt. It'd be nice to find a Coretapper. My mana short of Power Conduit, take a counter off the ring, and still channel Otawara. Guess I'll just do it now so that I only have to discard 1. Probably doesn't matter very much. Make a video of the new set for Pioneer. I don't know. Probably not. I don't play a lot of Pioneer at the moment, so my opinions are less important, I think. And I get pretty busy with just the modern one. Sometimes I like to talk about Pioneer applications a little bit on modern on the modern section. I mean, we're alive. They have 4 cards in their hand. They started their turn with the Deuce, which is good news. I played the Deuce in Standard in the blue-white deck, and it's pretty good in that deck. I don't know. Seems fine as like a flex spot in creativity. Why Tendo Ice Bridge over Blast Zone? We have 4 colored 1 mana spells. You gotta cast. You gotta have enough cast. You gotta be able to cast this. Remove a counter and destroy all CMCs. You do not want to destroy all CMC zeros in this deck. It's pretty awkward. It's like a cool thing, but can they hardcast Archon next turn if they have a land? Yeah, I think so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Zax, 40 months. Thank you. Welcome back. They sure are thinking a lot. They draw a card off their clue. Think of the new land. You probably talked about 1,000 times. Simple thumbs up or down. We talked about it a little bit. I think it's interesting. It would be awesome in this deck, funny enough. Okay, so we are dead to a bolt, but surely they would have already bolted if they had it. I'm gonna draw 6 cards. I still don't find a Coretapper, which sucks. How many keys do I have? I have 1, just 1. Really needed a Coretapper. So I guess my play is... Okay, looks like they have something. Is it Beseiju? Leyline Binding. So I should be able to just peel enough counters off of the ring to where I'm not dead, and I obviously I could just play. I actually even can't play another ring this turn. Never mind. Okay, let's go to game 3. Brutal. That Brotherhood end was tough. The fact that we were still like pretty in the game after the Brotherhood end was nice, but them drawing Runner land was less nice. All right, let's go. I guess maybe I don't want this Stone Brain in the deck anymore, actually. Again, I can't really bring in the Welding Jars. Is the only reason existing Emrakul in Modern to counter mill. Can I play the card in Amulet Titan? I mean, you can play it in Amulet Titan to counter mill. There's some decks that can cast Emrakul. Play the Timeless Amulet deck. And play through the Breach deck. What's in the mold of 6? Surge of Salvation. Okay, nope. Stop pushing Surge of Salvation, please. I'm not gonna put it in the deck. Surge of Salvation, I think, is Copia on the card. It's very hard to cast. Very hard to just hold it up at the right time. It'll feel really, really good if it ever happens, I promise. But it also, like, doesn't even stop Brotherhood End. Right? Yeah, it doesn't stop Brotherhood End. Let's, just not, please. Yeah, Surge Node pending, I guess. Gotta talk about what cards you're excited for in Outlaws with Injunction. There's too many to like briefly go over. I did a YouTube video on like the first day of spoilers. I will do another one too. But there's too much exciting stuff to briefly go over. Well, see if my opponent has another artifact interactive spell. See if they have a third land. So tapped Stomping Ground into Leyline Binding. Play the Jewel. Starting to gain a life every turn. So lands are good, mana batteries are good. Maybe worst case scenario, I sack Inventors Fair for a Cornucopia or Chalice. Bounces the Jewel. I'm gonna try to slam the ring. They're on a mulligan if they, just have hit every land drop pending, binding to fairy and spell pierce. It is what it is. So they can instant speed creativity X2 here, which is bad if they have Terastodon. One copy of Fogre in this version, maybe. I don't know. Why do you want that card? It's just so tough to like pop it on 1 and 2. I feel like in this deck, it's like what is that card good against? I thought about playing one yesterday, but it's also you don't want Filgri, you want Ratchet Bomb because it's actually charge counters. Isn't Filgri oil counters? Wait, they're main phasing the creativity? Archon. Yeah, they definitely should have upkeep this after I lost the protection. How good do you think this deck is? I'm looking for a new deck and love play actions. I think it's very powerful, and it is bad against artifact interaction. It's bad against Karn the Great Creator, which is kind of all we've played against today. Am I supposed to play a second ring here? I feel like the Archon attack this turn doesn't matter as much. I'm gonna grab Paradox Engine, I think. Or maybe I could grab this, although maybe if they have no Teferi, they can bounce. Yeah, I like Enigma Jewel a lot. It's been really good off stream. I feel like we haven't had like any super duper good Enigma Jewel turns this stream so far. So they're attacking the... Sorry, are they attacking me? Karn is being attacked by Archon. Okay, so just sack the Karn. I think I'm just blocking like this so I can maybe kill the Teferi, stop a Teferi bounce. When you copy Planeswalker's abilities, do you have to pay the minus price again? No, I don't think so. You don't have to pay the cost twice on anything you copy. They get another Dwarven Mine. Then they play a Fable, so they can block both of my elephants to save their Teferi, but they have to chump chump. Let's see if they want to do that. I'm going to play the Ring and play Enigma Jewel. They let the Teferi die, which I'm pretty happy about. Winning this game would be awesome. Cornucopia definitely helps. Yeah, we could probably go off next turn. I don't know. My opponent does get to loot twice, and they do have a lot of relevant cards. We discard 2 Wrenn and 6s. We do have protection from everything at the moment. They also have a clue token. Kind of tough for them to just not have anything here. So they have another Teferi. Not sure what they're going to bounce here. Like, if they bounce the 1 ring, I just kind of get to time walk them again, maybe. Yeah, we could maybe beat Trastodon number, like, pending Pick Your Poison, double Teferi, Archon, Trastodon number 1, but I agree Trastodon number 2 will be the nail in the coffin. Playing Jewel, Collector's Vault, reenact the crime and Pioneer for weeks. That sounds very fun, yeah. When you curve Jewel into Vault, it's like, you're feeling really good. They bounce the Saga, which I think is pretty good for me. Makes a treasure. They've got 2 cards in their hand. How many of those cards are relevant is, of course, anyone's game. Or anyone's guess. So I'm going to go down to 15. Tap my ring. Which they binding in response. I still get to draw a card, but so many relevant cards. Am I dead on board? I'm gonna take 6, block here. Yeah, not dead on board. I could beat nothing. Maybe. With a good top deck. It's like all 3 of their cards being relevant is less than beatable. Although I like to be honest, I can still top deck the 1 ring here, so let's play it out. Although they'll have flipped Fable plus the stuff. Alright, that'll get me. Brutal games 2 and 3. Let's do one more of this. I do have a kind of interesting backup deck too. I think we can mulligan that league. They're getting Karned twice and Brotherhood ended. You give it another go. Click the key button. I'm going to put this into play. I'm not sure what I'm imprinting yet. I think it's probably the key. Because I want to have the Surge Node as a source of counters for the Power Conduit, because I get to go turn 1, Saga, peel the counter off Gemstone Caverns, put the counter on Cornucopia, then play the Surge Node off the Cornucopia. Now, the card I really don't want them to counter is actually the Cornucopia, so I'll go Saga Cornucopia on 0 to play around Spell Pierce to the best of my abilities. Why drop the league when you're down 2 matches? You can play some more competitive bracket. Yeah, it's a variety of reasons. Like to some extent, if I'm going to win my next 2 matches, the EV is kind of just almost better to have won those next 2 matches and be 2-0 than to be 3-2. Obviously, with infinite time, that's not the case, but I don't have infinite time. Also, the quality of opponents is a lot lower when you are like 1-2-0-2. It's pretty bad, and also like the stream is just less exciting. So I just feel I've been happy dropping at 1-2 and 0-2 lately. So turn 1. Up against Creativity again. It's not the same opponent, is it? I don't think so. They sure are thinking on my instep. Meet MTG, 5 months. Thank you. Welcome back. So they go after the mana battery again. I guess maybe making some Saga tokens here. Matchup lottery hasn't been the kindest to us, I suppose. Is the plan flip the deck over with the Forge until we Ballista Aetherflux big enough? You make infinite mana and then you win with Karn. Yeah, it's yeah, you have several ways. You make infinite mana with Voltaic Key plus Enigma Jewel, or with Karn Paradox Engine, and then yeah, you win. Play a Fable. We'll make our own token. I would really, really like to draw a land here. We get to gain a life also. Awesome. Yeah, so now let's go ahead and save our Urza Saga. Grab Everflowing Chalice off the Saga. Remember, if you Power Conduit respond to this, you get to keep the Urza Saga around turn after turn. Opponent does seem to be soaking in every interaction, which is good. We're going to slam the ring here. And then, you know, we're really just not winning with combat damage very often. I think it's better to save the construct and try to eat the shaman than it is to, like, get in for 6 damage, despite 6 damage being a lot. We're just not realistically winning with combat damage, I think. Okay. Not a bad turn 3 through a Leyline Binding. Discarded a Mana Leak and an Archon of Cruelty. Kind of like Mana Leak and Creativity. So much, like, disagreement on, like, what counterspells to play. Y'all remember the Mana Leak counterspell argument? It was so funny. They bounced the Construct. That is a big win for us. Now they are... I don't know, they're going to have, like, Binding... Or Spell Pierce probably won't do it. If you hit for 6 next turn, my Construct's lethal. Yeah, I don't know. They just have... They're a Dorvered Mine deck with lots of removal. It just isn't going to be how we win this game. Like, that would only be the case if my opponent has nothing. And if they have nothing, we're also still winning this game. So we grab a key. We're going to grab Voltaic Key over Manifold Key if you can, because it goes infinite with Enigma Jewel, unless you need unblockable in your Saga token, I guess. So I'm definitely going to go Coretapper, Cornucopia, or Coretapper on the Chalice. I think I'll just play a second one. It's more counters. Obviously, I could Surge Node first. I'll just Surge Node, I guess, after I Voltaic Key. I guess we have enough mana to go Karn. Paradox Engine. And into a spell to win the game. Do I have enough mana? I also have enough to do that and pay for Spell Pierce, so... Seems like the line. Also, I guess if they have Spell Pierce, they would have to float mana off the treasure token, so they don't even have that. Okay, grab the Paradox Engine. Colonel Yogi, thank you for the 14 months. Hope you're doing well today. Welcome back. And my opponent is trying to reprieve, I think, and not realizing that they didn't sack that treasure token. How does Key go infinite with Enigma Jewel? Yeah, so you craft it, and then when you... And then the flip side of Enigma Jewel says whenever you activate an ability, copy that ability. Voltaic Key can untap itself. Manifold Key can't. So you untap a mana battery, and then you untap your Voltaic Key, and you just do that infinite times. You make infinite mana, which is sick. All right, let's stick to the sideboard plan. Oh, sorry, I meant to cut both gardens and not one ice bridge. It's kind of funny to go like down a land sometimes. I think it makes sense in the stack, on the draw especially. You can't activate those moves once. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Enigma Jewel. So Enigma Jewel says each card activated the craft can be used to craft it. You can only activate each of these more than once. This line of text, though, whenever you activate an ability, copy it. That isn't restricted. That for other abilities you activate, that isn't restricted to once a turn. So you just have you don't imprint the Voltaic Key. You just keep it in play. Does that make sense? I'm actually not sure what we're putting back with this hand. Is it the key? I don't know. We don't have a engine for the cornucopia, really. I think I still have to keep this. We put back the jewel. It's kind of bad if I draw another jewel, right? Or imprint the jewel. Tapped garden. Two keys on turn one. Guess we'll, just cast Cornucopia on next turn, so we can cast the ring on turn 3, maybe. Goose, 4 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Ehaw, need my cactus, man. I know all of these words individually. What do they mean together? Maybe, I don't know. It's been funny watching everybody talk about Thunder Junction and how weird it is to see everybody with cowboy hats, but to me that's just going outside and seeing everybody wearing a cowboy hat is just completely normal. It's just funny how other cultures collide. Coretapper is the best draw by a lot. Thunder Junction takes place in Texas? Yep. Canonically. Cowboy Hat stream win? I don't know. I just have too many to choose from. I get real cowboy hat decision paralysis. How many Texans out of 10 wear a cowboy hat? Usually like 11 out of 10. There's usually someone with 2. Okay, Trasodon is stock. Why? How did I not know? This is brutal. I didn't know Trasodon was all of a sudden stock and creativity the day I decided to play this deck. All of a sudden, boom, Trasodon stock and creativity. So brutal. But it's got a upkeep stop here. I'm gonna cast the ring. So there's one Trasodon in the yard. And there's another one in play. Okay, let's go to game 2 or game 3. They just did an Archon there. I mean, I don't know. They're ready. What can I say? Yeah, brutal stream. We played against 2 Karn the Great Critter decks and 2 Terrastodon creativity decks. This could have been a land. Okay, keep this. I don't think this is the same opponent from last league. I was going to, I think Justin has been more for a while. Yeah, I guess I just haven't been playing decks that they've been breaking it in, because I have been playing against creativity. I just haven't seen it. News to me. Pretty soft removal spell on the Everflowing Chalice. Kind of tough to not be on a mulligan here. How long they're tanking, it does seem like they have like Leyline Binding, which is bad. I mean, if I just top deck another battery and they binding the Chalice, then we're kind of cooking, but can't win them all. Maybe they'll just cast a Ren and 6 and we'll win. No, they've got a binding. Oh, maybe binding and pending. Okay, Everflowing Chalice, Astral Cornucopia, or Stone Brain off the top one time. Can't cast that one. Guess I'm just gonna Coretapper onto the Surge node. I think Displacer Kid would be good in Modern. I mean, the card is like playable in Timeless and like playable in Legacy, so I can't imagine it'll be unplayable in Modern. It goes infinite with Teferi Time Raveler and Mox Amber, which is a pretty good card to combo with. Yeah, pretty cooked. It just has so much interaction. It's brutal because you can feel our opponent tanking because they just have too much interaction and they don't know. They're deciding on what to use. It's kind of a do nothing for drop without those. Seems like a bad downside. I don't know, brother. Splinter Twin is banned. You could build it. I don't know. It would be playable. I think it wouldn't be a super format defining card. We don't need to get lost in the daydream of what cards would do if they were legal. Focus on what we can play with. Dude, my opponent like has never not had a Leyline Binding here. Queuing up the backup deck. Alright, let's play the backup deck. I don't know. I was liking the deck off stream. Seems like things are maybe a little hostile at the moment. Okay, hold on. I have to find the right Bant Rebirth pile. Okay.